Ever wonder why car enthusiasts get into heated arguments about whether the first Mustang was a 1964 or 1965 model? Or why this pony car caused actual riots at dealerships across America? Well, saddle up because we're about to gallop through 20 weird facts about the 1964 Ford Mustang that'll make you understand why this car didn't just start a revolution, it became one. Today, we're counting down the strangest, most surprising, and downright bizarre truths about the car that created an entirely new category of automobiles. And trust me, some of these are going to make you look at that iconic galloping horse emblem in a whole new way. If you enjoy classic car content, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Number 20, the year that never was. The 1964 Mustang is officially a myth. According to Ford's records, there's no such thing. Every Mustang built before August 1964 is officially listed as a 1965 model. But here's where it gets weird. Early production Mustangs, the ones built between March and August 1964, are completely different from later 1965 models. Different engines, different transmissions, different generators instead of alternators. Collectors call them 1964 models, but your title will say 1965. Ford created this confusion deliberately. They wanted the Mustang to debut at the 1964 World's Fair in New York but needed it classified as a 1965 model for marketing reasons. So they launched it in April 1964 as a 1965 car. The early birds got mechanical components left over from other Ford models. By August, Ford had switched to the proper 1965 parts. This created a bizarre situation where two supposedly identical 1965 Mustangs could have completely different mechanical systems. Insurance companies still don't know how to classify them. Some use the build date, some use the title date. One collector in Florida has a Mustang that his insurance company insists is both a 1964 and 1965 simultaneously. Number 19, the dealership riot. When the Mustang officially launched on April 17, 1964, Ford expected good sales. What they got was absolute chaos. At Garfield Ford in Seattle, so many people showed up that police had to be called. The crowd broke through the showroom windows trying to get inside. In Chicago, a dealer reported that 15 customers fought over the same car. Literally fought, punches were thrown. One man in Texas camped outside a dealership for 3 days before launch day. When the doors finally opened, he sprinted inside only to find that someone had already bought the display model while he was sleeping. The worst incident happened in Garland, Texas. A customer refused to leave a Mustang after his test drive. He locked himself inside and told the salesman he wasn't coming out until they accepted his offer. The standoff lasted 6 hours. Police eventually had to break a window to extract him. Ford had projected selling 100,000 Mustangs in the first year. They sold that many in the first 4 months. Dealerships across the country ran out of inventory within days. Some dealers started taking deposits on cars that didn't exist yet, cars that hadn't even been built. One enterprising dealer in California bought a Mustang, displayed it for 1 day, then sold it at the end of the day. He repeated this for a week, selling the same car 7 times to 7 different customers, pocketing deposits from all of them before disappearing. Number 18, the airplane connection. The Mustang wasn't named after a horse. Ford's official story is that it honors the wild Mustang horses of the American West. That's not true. The car was actually named after the P-51 Mustang fighter plane from World War II. Lee Iacocca, the Mustang's creator, was a huge aviation enthusiast. He wanted a name that evokes speed, power, and American heroism. The P-51 Mustang fit perfectly. But Ford's marketing department had a problem. They'd already designed a logo featuring a galloping horse. Changing it would cost millions. So they just changed the story. They told everyone the car was named after wild horses and hoped nobody would notice. Some people did notice. Aviation magazines wrote articles questioning the name. World War II veterans sent letters to Ford. One pilot who'd flown P-51s during the war showed up at Ford headquarters demanding they acknowledge the plane. Ford's response was to double down on the horse story. They created elaborate marketing materials about the American frontier. They even hired actual cowboys to appear in commercials. Today, Ford still officially maintains the car was named after horses. But internal documents from 1964, released years later, prove the airplane connection. The galloping horse logo was literally a last-minute compromise to avoid copyright issues with North American Aviation, which built the P-51. Number 17, the convertible top scandal. The early Mustang convertibles had a fatal flaw that Ford desperately tried to hide. The convertible top mechanism would fail without warning, and when it failed catastrophically. The top would collapse while driving, sometimes trapping passengers underneath. Even worse, the mechanism contained a spring under enormous tension. When it broke, the spring would shoot out like a missile. One woman in Ohio was struck in the head by a flying spring at 45 miles per hour. She survived but required extensive surgery. Ford received hundreds of complaints within the first 6 months. They knew they had a massive problem. Their solution was to quietly redesign the mechanism and offer free replacements to owners who complained. But they never issued a recall. They never made a public announcement. Most Mustang convertible owners had no idea their tops were dangerous. The improved mechanism started appearing in production around September 1964, but Ford kept installing the old defective ones until inventory ran out. Today, restoration experts can identify early convertibles by their death trap tops. Some refuse to restore them to original specifications, insisting on installing the later, safer mechanism instead. Ford has never officially acknowledged the convertible top problem. Number 16. The missing serial numbers. Ford's Dearborn assembly plant produced the first Mustangs. Serial numbers should start at 100,001 and increase sequentially. They don't. Serial numbers 100,001 through 100,010 don't exist. Neither do 100,050 through 100,099. Ford skipped entire blocks of numbers. The official explanation is clerical error. But workers at the Dearborn plant tell a different story. The very first Mustang off the line, number 100,001, was such a disaster that plant management ordered it destroyed. Paint defects, alignment problems, engine issues, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. They scrapped it and pretended it never existed. Cars 100,002 through 100,010 were used as test vehicles and suffered similar fates. Ford crushed them all. The block from 100,050 to 100,099 was reserved for special promotional vehicles that were supposed to be given to celebrities and journalists. But Ford's legal department got nervous about liability if something went wrong. They canceled the program and skipped those numbers entirely. This created a bizarre situation where collectors searching for the earliest Mustangs discover they simply don't exist. The earliest verified Mustang has serial number 100,011. What happened to the first 10? Officially, Ford has no record of them. But old-timers at the Dearborn plant insist those cars were built, driven briefly, and then crushed in secret. Number 15. The steering wheel warning. Some early Mustangs came with steering wheels that had a terrifying feature Ford never advertised. Under certain conditions, the horn ring, the chrome circle in the center of the steering wheel, would become electrically charged. Not enough to kill you, but definitely enough to shock you. The problem was a design flaw in the horn mechanism. A single wire ran too close to the metal ring. When the insulation wore down, which happened quickly, the ring became lit with electrical current. Drivers would grab the wheel after getting out of the car and receive a nasty shock. Some shocks were powerful enough to cause muscle spasms. One man in Detroit was shocked so badly he punched his windshield and broke his hand. Ford discovered the problem during testing but decided the redesign would delay production. They calculated that the insulation would last at least a year before wearing down. That was long enough to get past the warranty period. By early 1965, Ford service departments were being flooded with complaints about shocking steering wheels. The fix was simple: reroute the wire, but Ford never issued a recall. They just fixed cars as owners complained. Thousands of Mustang owners got shocked and never knew why. Today, restoration shops always reroute that wire. They call it the shocker fix, and it's the first thing they check on any early Mustang. Number 14. The trunk lid mystery. If you look at early Mustang trunk lids, you might notice something odd. Some have a small dimple on the driver's side, about 2 inches from the edge. It looks like someone hit it with a ball-peen hammer. That's because someone did. This wasn't vandalism or a manufacturing defect. It was intentional. The trunk lid on early Mustangs had a resonance problem. At speeds between 55 and 65 miles per hour, the lid would vibrate at exactly the right frequency to create an unbearable humming noise inside the car. Ford's engineers tried everything. They added dampening material. They changed the metal thickness. Nothing worked. Finally, a frustrated engineer at the Romeo stamping plant took a hammer and hit a trunk lid. The dimple changed the resonance frequency just enough to eliminate the hum. It worked perfectly. Rather than redesign the trunk lid, which would cost millions, Ford just started hitting every trunk lid with a hammer. They even bought a specialized pneumatic hammer for the job. But here's the weird part: they only did this at certain assembly plants. Mustangs built in Dearborn got the hammer treatment. Mustangs built in San Jose didn't. Ford never explained why. Today, that little dimple is one way collectors identify where their Mustang was built. They call them hammer cars, and some collectors specifically seek them out. Number 13, the radio that listened back. The optional AM radio in the 1964 Mustang had a feature Ford definitely didn't advertise. Under certain atmospheric conditions, the radio would transmit. Not just receive broadcasts, actually transmit. Mustang owners would be driving along, radio playing, when suddenly they'd hear their own conversations coming back at them through the speakers. Delayed by a few seconds, echo-like, but definitely their own voices. This wasn't a malfunction. It was an accidental feature created by the radio's design. The radio shared circuitry with the car's electrical system in a way that, under perfect conditions, turned the entire car into a low-power transmitter. The phenomenon happened most often near bodies of water or metal structures that could reflect radio waves. The effect was so unnerving that some owners thought their cars were haunted. One woman in California reported the experience to the police, convinced someone had bugged her car. Investigators found nothing. A ham radio operator in Ohio figured out what was happening after experimenting with his Mustang's radio. He published his findings in an electronics magazine in 1965. Ford's response was to deny everything. They claimed such transmission was impossible. But engineers who worked on the radio later confirmed it could happen. The design was changed for the 1966 model year, eliminating the problem. Today, some ham radio enthusiasts deliberately seek out 1964 Mustangs with original radios just to experience this bizarre phenomenon. Number 12, the seats that burned. Wimbledon white was the most popular Mustang color in 1964. Bright white, clean, sporty. But Wimbledon white Mustangs with black interior had a dangerous secret. The black vinyl seats would get so hot in direct sunlight that they could cause second-degree burns. This wasn't just uncomfortable warmth. These seats reached temperatures over 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to literally cook skin. Emergency rooms in southern states saw dozens of cases. Women wearing shorts or skirts were especially vulnerable. One teenager in Arizona received burns serious enough to require hospitalization. The problem was the vinyl formulation Ford used. In their quest to make seats that looked luxurious and were easy to clean, they created a material that absorbed heat like crazy. Combined with the white exterior that reflected heat down through the rear window, black interior Mustangs became rolling ovens. Ford knew about the problem by June 1964. Their solution was to offer light-colored interior as a no-cost option on white Mustangs. But they never recalled the black interiors or warned existing owners. Most people just learned to throw a towel over their seats in summer. By 1965, Ford had reformulated the vinyl to reflect more heat. The problem disappeared. But for that first summer, thousands of Mustang owners were getting burned and had no idea their car was defective. Number 11, the glove box treasure hunt. Ford hid something in the glove boxes of exactly 100 early Mustangs. Not all 100 have been found. Each of these special Mustangs had a sealed envelope taped inside the glove box frame, completely hidden unless you remove the entire glove box assembly. The envelopes contained a letter from Lee Iacocca personally congratulating the owner on purchasing one of the first 100 Mustangs off the production line. But here's the kicker: the letter also contained a certificate good for a brand new Mustang of the owner's choice, absolutely free. This wasn't a hoax. Ford really did this. The idea was to generate buzz and reward early adopters. The problem was, Ford forgot to tell anyone. The marketing department had planned a big announcement but then decided it might anger other early buyers who didn't get the special prize. So they just stayed quiet. Over the years, about 40 of these envelopes have been found. Each discovery makes headlines in the Mustang collector community. The certificates are still valid. Ford has honored every single one presented to them, though the company asks that recipients keep it quiet. The most recent discovery was in 2019 when a restorer in Tennessee found an envelope while repairing a glove box. Ford gave him a brand new Mustang GT. 60 envelopes are still out there, hidden in old Mustangs, waiting to be discovered. Number 10, the assembly line sabotage. In May 1964, someone at Ford's San Jose assembly plant was deliberately sabotaging Mustangs. Not all of them just random ones. The saboteur would loosen critical bolts, cross electrical wires, or put sugar in gas tanks. The cars would pass inspection and ship to dealers, only to fail catastrophically within days. Wheels would fall off. Engines would seize. Electrical systems would short out and catch fire. Ford launched a massive internal investigation. They suspected a disgruntled worker, possibly someone angry about the Mustang's production speed-up that had increased working hours. Plant security installed hidden cameras. They searched workers' toolboxes. They even brought in Detroit police. The sabotage continued for 6 weeks. Roughly 300 Mustangs were affected. Then it suddenly stopped. The saboteur was never caught. Ford quietly bought back all the affected cars they could identify and crushed them. But some had already been sold and resold. They're still out there. Collectors call them San Jose sabotage cars. There's no way to identify them unless something catastrophic happens. Some believe the saboteur was never caught because they were actually a plant manager who covered their own tracks. Others think Ford caught the person but kept it quiet to avoid bad publicity. The truth probably died with someone decades ago. Number 9. The Speedometer Conspiracy. Mustang speedometers went up to 120 miles per hour. Optimistic, considering most Mustangs struggled to reach 110. But some speedometers had something extra. Between the 80 and 90 mile-per-hour markings, in tiny letters barely visible, was printed the phrase "Are you sure?" Not all speedometers had this. Just random ones. Ford claimed they had no idea how it got there and blamed the instrument supplier. The supplier blamed Ford. The mystery deepened when owners started comparing notes. The message appeared only on Mustangs built on Fridays, only with a rally pack gauge option, and only between May and July 1964. Turns out, a speedometer inspector at the instrument plant was a recovering speed addict. He lost his license after multiple speeding tickets and nearly killed himself in a high-speed crash. Adding the message was his personal crusade. When supervisors discovered what he was doing, they were about to fire him. Then someone in management had a better idea. They let him continue, figuring it might actually prevent accidents. Ford executives never found out. The inspector retired in 1967, taking his secret with him. He only revealed it in an interview shortly before his death in 2003. Today, Mustangs with "Are you sure?" speedometers command premium prices from collectors. Number 8. The paint that glowed. Rangoon red was one of the rarest Mustang colors in 1964. It was also radioactive. Not dangerously radioactive, the levels were below legal limits, but definitely radioactive enough to register on Geiger counters. The red pigment Ford used contained trace amounts of uranium oxide. This was actually common in red paints of that era. Uranium compounds created incredibly vivid, stable reds. But Ford's specific formulation had slightly higher uranium content than usual. Under black light, Rangoon red Mustangs would glow faintly orange. One owner discovered this by accident when working in his garage under a UV lamp. He freaked out and called Ford. They assured him it was perfectly safe. Which it was, mostly. The radiation was so low that you'd need to spend 1,000 years sitting on the hood to receive a harmful dose. But when restoration shops started media blasting old Rangoon red paint in the 1980s, safety inspectors got concerned. The fine dust from the paint registered higher radiation levels. Some shops refused to work on Rangoon red cars. Others required special ventilation and protective equipment. By the 1990s, environmental regulations had made the original paint formula illegal. Today, Rangoon red restorations use modern paint that only approximates the original color. They can't match it exactly because the uranium is gone. Some purists hate this. Others are just happy their car isn't radioactive anymore. Number 7. The rear seat warning. The Mustang's rear seat was advertised as suitable for adults. This was generous. The back seat of a Mustang was barely suitable for children. But it had a more serious problem that Ford never mentioned. The seat frame had a design flaw that made it dangerous in rear-end collisions. Under impact, the seat frame would collapse forward, crushing whoever was sitting there against the front seats. Ford knew about this because their own crash testing revealed it. But 1964 was before mandatory safety testing. They weren't required to fix it. The calculation was cold and simple. Rear seat passengers were rare in Mustangs. Most buyers were young singles or couples. The odds of a serious rear-end collision with rear passengers were low enough that Ford decided not to redesign the seat. It would have delayed production by months. The decision came back to haunt them. By 1966, several lawsuits had been filed by rear seat passengers injured in collisions. Ford quietly strengthened the seat frame for the 1967 model year but never acknowledged the earlier problem. Today, safety advocates point to the early Mustang rear seat as an example of automakers prioritizing profit over safety in the pre-regulation era. Some restoration shops now install modern reinforcements in the rear seat frames of early Mustangs, especially if the car will carry passengers. Number 6. The odometer rollback scandal. In late 1964, a California Highway Patrol officer noticed something strange. He'd stopped the same white Mustang for speeding 3 times in 2 months. Each time, the odometer showed fewer miles than before. The car was going backward in time. Investigation revealed a massive odometer rollback scheme centered in Southern California. Dealers were buying Mustangs, driving them hard to test them or loan them to customers, then rolling back the odometers before selling them as new. Some cars had been driven 5,000 miles before being sold with 50 miles on the odometer. The scheme worked because Mustangs were in such high demand. Dealers could sell every car they got. Nobody questioned low mileage. The investigation eventually implicated 17 different dealerships. But here's where it gets weird. Ford knew about it and didn't care. Internal documents showed that regional managers were aware dealers were rolling back odometers but chose not to intervene. Why? Because cracking down would mean fewer sales. Those test-driven cars helped dealers close sales to hesitant buyers. Ford's attitude was that what dealers did after taking delivery was their problem. The scandal eventually blew up in early 1965 when a Los Angeles Times reporter broke the story. Several dealers lost their franchises. A few people went to jail. But Ford faced no consequences. They claimed they couldn't control what dealers did. Today, verifying actual mileage on early Mustangs is nearly impossible. Some collectors assume every survivor has rolled back miles. Number 5. The steering column secret. Every 1964 Mustang had a time bomb hiding in the steering column. The column design included a rubber coupling that connected the steering wheel to the steering box. This coupling was supposed to last the life of the car. It didn't. The rubber compound Ford used was defective. It would deteriorate rapidly, especially in hot climates. When it failed, steering failed. Not gradually, instantly. One moment you're steering normally, the next moment the wheel is spinning freely in your hands, connected to nothing. Multiple fatal accidents resulted from steering failures. Ford received reports but didn't connect the dots until a mechanic in Florida examined several failed columns and noticed the pattern. By then, thousands of Mustangs had the defective coupling. Ford's response was a quiet technical service bulletin to dealers in March 1965. They authorized free replacement of the coupling if owners complained about loose steering. But they never issued a recall. Most owners never knew. The coupling would typically last 12 to 18 months before failing. By then, many Mustangs were out of warranty and had been resold. New owners experiencing steering problems would just assume the car was old and worn. The improved coupling appeared in production around October 1964, but Ford kept installing the old ones until inventory ran out. Today, the steering coupling is the first thing mechanics check on any early Mustang. Many won't even test drive the car until it's been replaced. Number 4. The secret V8 option. Ford's official line was that the Mustang came with either an inline-6 or a small V8. But for exactly 62 customers, Ford built something different. A big block V8 Mustang. 9 months before the legendary 1965 Shelby GT350, Ford was experimenting with stuffing their massive 390 cubic inch engine into the Mustang. The cars were built at a special facility in Michigan, not on the regular assembly line. They were never officially sold. Instead, they went to Ford executives, racing team members, and a few special customers who had connections. These cars were monsters. The 390 engine produced over 400 horsepower, far more than the Mustang's chassis was designed to handle. They were fast, terrifying, and completely impractical. Several crashed within weeks of delivery. Ford's insurance company found out about the unauthorized high-performance builds and threatened to cancel coverage. That killed the program immediately. Ford ordered all 62 cars returned and destroyed. Most owners complied. But at least 8 cars were never returned. They simply disappeared, hidden away by owners who knew what they had. Over the years, 3 have surfaced. Each time, Ford has tried to buy them back and destroy them to eliminate evidence of the unauthorized program. So far, all 3 owners have refused to sell. The most famous is owned by a collector in Texas who's been offered $2 million for a car he paid $3,000 for in 1968. He won't sell. He knows Ford wants to bury their secret. Number 3, the windshield whistler. Some early Mustangs had windshields that whistled. Not all of them just random ones, and the whistle would only happen at specific speeds. Usually between 45 and 50 miles per hour, the windshield would produce a high-pitched whistle that could be heard over the engine and radio. It was loud enough to be painful. The problem was the windshield seal. Ford had switched to a new adhesive that was supposed to be better than traditional rubber gaskets. It wasn't. The adhesive would cure unevenly, leaving tiny gaps between the glass and the body. At certain speeds, air would rush through these gaps, creating the whistle. Ford dealers were flooded with complaints. They tried everything. Resealing the windshields. Replacing them entirely. Adding extra adhesive. Nothing worked reliably. The whistling would stop for a few weeks, then come back. Finally, an independent mechanic in Ohio discovered the solution. A tiny strip of weather stripping along the top edge of the windshield would disrupt the airflow just enough to eliminate the whistle. Ford eventually adopted this fix for production cars but never told anyone about the earlier problem. Mustang owners just stopped complaining after the weather stripping appeared. Today, restoration purists argue about whether to include the weather stripping on early cars. Some say it's not original. Others say it's necessary to make the car drivable. Number 2, the parking brake failure. The parking brake on early Mustangs had a fatal flaw. The cable would freeze in the release position, making it impossible to engage the brake. This wasn't just an inconvenience. Mustangs would roll away on hills, sometimes with drivers still inside trying to engage the brake. The problem was worst in cold weather. The cable ran through a housing that would trap moisture. When temperatures dropped, the moisture would freeze, locking the cable. One famous incident in Denver involved a Mustang rolling backward down a steep hill with the driver frantically pumping the parking brake. The car crashed through a storefront. Miraculously, no one was seriously injured. Ford received hundreds of similar reports. Their solution was to redesign the cable housing to include drainage holes. But they didn't recall existing cars. They just fixed the problem going forward and hoped nobody would notice. Most people didn't. They just learned not to park on hills in winter. The improved design appeared around September 1964. That means roughly 75,000 Mustangs were built with the defective parking brake. Today, mechanics familiar with early Mustangs always check the parking brake cable and often retrofit the improved design. It's cheap, easy, and potentially life-saving. Number 1, the curse of serial number 555555. Ford's Nashville assembly plant produced Mustang serial number 5F08F555555 on November 13, 1964. It was a Friday, naturally. This car had more problems than any other Mustang ever built. The paint was defective. The engine knocked. The transmission slipped. All 4 tires were out of balance. The radio didn't work. The heater didn't work. The windshield wipers didn't work. Quality control should have caught these problems. Somehow, the car passed inspection and was shipped to a dealer in Tennessee. The dealer took one test drive and immediately sent it back to Ford. Ford inspected it, fixed everything they could find, and sent it to a different dealer in Kentucky. That dealer sold it to a customer who returned it within a week. Every problem had come back, plus new ones. Over the next 6 months, the car was returned to Ford 3 times. Each time, it would be perfect when it left the factory. Each time, problems would mysteriously reappear within days. Ford finally gave up and bought the car back from the dealer. They planned to crush it. But before they could, a Ford engineer asked to study it. He was convinced there had to be a logical explanation. He found nothing wrong. The car was mechanically perfect. Yet every time someone drove it, something would break. The engineer's report recommended destruction. The car was cursed, and keeping it around was bad for morale. Ford crushed serial number 555555 in May 1965. But here's the thing, records show the car was crushed, but a Mustang with that exact serial number appeared at a car show in Michigan in 1978. The owner claimed he bought it from a junkyard in 1972. Ford insists this is impossible. Their records prove the car was destroyed. Yet there it was, and according to people who examined it, the serial number wasn't a fake. It was stamped into the original body panel. That Mustang has since disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. Some collectors claim it still exists, hidden away somewhere, still causing problems for whoever owns it. Others insist it's a legend that got out of control. But workers at the Nashville plant swear the curse was real. They refuse to talk about serial number 555,555. And there you have it. 20 absolutely bizarre facts about the 1964 Ford Mustang that prove this revolutionary car was even stranger than anyone realized. From radioactive paint to hidden treasure hunts, from sabotaged assembly lines to cursed serial numbers, America's favorite pony car has more secrets than anyone imagined. Which of these weird facts surprised you the most? And what strange Mustang stories have we missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, especially if you've got your own Mustang mystery to share. If you enjoyed this deep dive into automotive weirdness, smash that like button and subscribe for more strange tales from car history. Hit the notification bell too, because next week we're exploring the bizarre history of another automotive icon. Until then, keep your eyes on the road and your serial numbers lucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.